Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Bernard Peters. Today, we're sitting down with Khine Moore to explore the career of a chef, the person who runs the kitchen, designs menus, and leads a team to put out plate after plate, night after night. In the US, working chefs typically start somewhere in the $55,000 to $65,000 range, with many head and executive chefs pushing into the $90,000 plus bracket, and some in high-end restaurants or private roles making well into six figures. The path usually starts with either culinary school or learning on the job, then years of grinding through roles like line cook, station chef, and sous chef before you're trusted to run your own kitchen. A journey that often takes 6 to 10 years from your first real kitchen job to head chef. It's intense, fast-paced work that mixes creativity with systems, leadership, and a lot of heat, both literal and figurative. If you love food, thrive under pressure, and want a career where your work is judged in real time every service, this episode will walk you through how to become a chef. So what inspired you to first go the culinary route?
I would say the inspiration really just came from my grandmother cooking because after high school, it was either being a car mechanic, and I was just like, cars are just more of like a hobby, you know? So I was just like, I gotta do something. And at the time, I didn't want to go to the military, even though my grandpa was a retired Master Chief, and he's like, go to the military. And I was like, nah. So I ended up going to Grossmont College for culinary school. I was going to go to Le Cordon Bleu, and that was when they were open in Pasadena. And I went up there and took a tour or whatever, and, figured out the pricing. And my mom and dad were like, yeah, it's kind of crazy. I found out that Grossmont was competing with the Le Cordon Bleu and Art Institute, and they were winning the competitions. So I was like, it makes more sense just to go to this community college where they're pretty much ranking with like some of the best culinary schools. Just go there and get your culinary degree from there. And then from there, I just got immersed into it. I was working at Subway while I was going to culinary school. And then on my break, I would apply for jobs.
Okay.
And one day I applied for Brian Malarkey's restaurant downtown in Searsucker, and Carlos, who was the chef at the time, or one of the chefs at the time, he called me up and was like, hey, you want to come in and stage? And in culinary school, they didn't really tell you what a stage was. So I was like, yeah, I'll come in for a stage. And it's basically just a working interview,
Yeah.
And I fell in love with it from there. And ever since then, I've just been in the industry going on 12 years now.
Dude, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
All right, let's take a step back. Tell me more about your grandma's cooking.
Okay, so grandma's cooking is just old Southern cooking.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's pretty funny because she has Filipino influence because my grandpa was in the Navy. So when he was stationed in Guam, she learned how to make Filipino food.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I grew up eating traditional Southern food, and then every now and then she'll just throw on some lumpia or some adobo, and I was like, where'd you learn this from? She's like, right, you pick up stuff when you live in another country,
That's awesome.
And then the crazy part about that is when she was living in Guam, she worked at a KFC, and hindsight's 2020, I end up opening the Crack Shack with the restaurant group that I'm in now. So it's kind of like funny how me and my grandma's past.
To it.
Yeah, it's just like full circle, So yeah, it's pretty cool.
What's that Filipino dish for the chicken feet? They call it Adidas.
Adidas?
Yeah.
I never heard of that, but the balut is something that I do not enjoy at all.
That's the chicken. Yeah.
That's not fun to eat.
In South Africa, we ate chicken feet, but we call them runaways. All right, so you got your first job out of culinary school at Searsucker.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about your journey from there to where you are now.
So Searsucker, I worked for Malarkey for 4 years. And within those 4 years, I worked at probably 3 or 4 of his concepts that he had, because he had Searsucker, Gingham, Gabardine, Herringbone.
Yeah.
And I kind of just popped around through his restaurants, and I was like getting my feet wet, and I was like getting faster, learning my skills. And then from there, I remember it like it was night and day. It was a brunch service, and they were getting ready to do a new dish, and the chef at the time was like, hey, if you guys have time after brunch, ask Dustin, who was the sous chef at the time, for the recipe so you guys can start working on the recipes and put it onto the menu. So I told Mikey, who was working the line with me, I was like, hey, go tell Dustin while I break down my station, get the recipe. Mikey comes back up to me and he's just laughing. I'm like, yo, it's funny. Like, what happened? And Mikey was like, you gonna be mad. And I'm like, well, why would I be mad? And like, did you get the recipe? They're like, I'm not thinking about anything else. He comes back to me and he's like, Dustin's like, why do you need the recipe? You can't cook. And I was just like, what? He's like, yeah. And I'm just like, okay, well, if I can't cook, what am I doing here? Because he's my sous chef and I've been here for 4 years. And if I'm not learning anything, why am I here? So that was the draw for me. And I was just like, hey, I'm putting my 2 weeks in. I said it that day.
Yeah.
And then the next day, Shane at the time, who was the chef, he was just like, what's going on? I'm like, why are you leaving? Like, all this. I was like, well, Dustin said I couldn't cook. I don't need to be here anymore. I'm out. And so I was out of a job for about a week and a half, 2 weeks. Richard Blais was coming into town.
Mhm.
And this is when, around 2014, 2015. And I didn't know anything about Richard Blais. San Diego's restaurant community was very small back then.
Yeah.
And I didn't know half of the things that I know now. And I applied for Juniper and Ivy. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to go down there as a sous chef because, you know, I put in 4 years here. I know what I'm doing now.
Yeah. You don't
Definitely wasn't the case.
That's amazing.
So I walk into the building that we were doing our interview in, which is the Crack Shack in Little Italy. Dan's there, and Dan was the general manager at Searsucker. And I'm like, oh, Dan, what's up? I'm good. I got this job. And as soon as I walk in, Dan's like, hire that guy. And at the time, John Sloan was the executive chef at Juniper and Ivy.
Yeah.
And he's like, calm down, Dan. I'm not going to hire this kid. I don't even know him. And Dan's like, no, trust me, hire him.
Yeah.
And Sloan's like, no, you know, you can come in as a prep cook. You're not ready for a sous chef position. And with me being humble, I was just like, cool.
Yep.
I'll let my work speak for itself. Left Searsucker, did my 2 weeks. We started opening Juniper and Ivy as a prep cook.
This was a restaurant opening, like first thing off the ground? Okay.
First thing off the ground. I was the first person that got hired too.
Yeah.
So that was crazy in itself.
Wow.
Yeah, first person to get hired at Juniper and Ivy. And I was just like, cool, right on. So we get into Juniper and we start doing the restaurant opening and we're like learning the recipes and like all the little minutia things that they want us to do, right? And a weekend, the chef was like, all you guys come here, all the prep staff. He's like, you guys are hosing it. He's just like basically telling us like, you guys are not up to par.
Yeah.
And he's sitting there and I'm like, he's not talking to me. Like, I don't think I suck, you know? And after the conversation, I told the prep guys basically what I just told you. I was like, hey, I don't suck. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I'm about to prove to them that I don't suck and you guys can do whatever you want. And he heard me say that and he was like, you're the lead prep cook now. And I was like, whoa, what? He's like, yeah, I like what you said. I was like, okay, cool. And then from there, I've just been the lead prep cook at Juniper. And then 2 years go by, I moved to Singapore.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So 2 years go by and I told Sloan, I'm like, hey, dude, I'm out of here. He's like, where you going? I was like, moving to Singapore. He's like, when you leaving? 2 weeks, dude. Everything's like a 2-week notice with me.
You didn't have a job lined up, nothing? You
No,
said...
my cousin was stationed over there.
Gotcha.
So I had a room. I didn't have to worry about like where I was going to stay or anything like that. So I was just like, yeah, my cousin offered me a room. He's stationed out there. He's not going anywhere. I'm in my 20s. I'm going to take this opportunity and run with it.
Yeah.
So I look up restaurants and, you know, I sent a couple of emails out to a couple of restaurants over there. And then at the time I was still doing martial arts. So I found a Wing Chun Academy and I left for 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you worked out there too?
I worked out there. So I worked in a Chinese restaurant out there. I worked in a dessert bar. I worked in a French restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
The French restaurant was called Bar Rogue, and they offered me a job, but being 23, 24 in another country with your cousin who's in the Navy, you don't want to be locked down on a job. You want to be able to travel and go see all these other places. So I just worked, and when I ran out of money, I came back to the States and got my job back at Juniper.
Yeah.
And I worked there for like another year, and then they presented the Crack Shack.
Right.
And that's when I started doing like research and development with the Crack Shack. And I've been with that restaurant group for the last 12 years now.
Dude, that's wild.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
So when people want to get into this space, right? If somebody wants to cook for a living,
Mm-hmm.
how do you compare the difference? Like, how important is it to go to a culinary school versus just jumping straight in and getting experience?
I feel like culinary school is very vague in a sense to where you're just learning fundamentals.
Yeah.
And for me, I had the privilege of going to culinary school and working in the industry.
Right.
So I got to see both sides.
Right.
And I would get in trouble going to culinary school because I would learn different techniques in the restaurant and bring it back to class, and we will get things done because they'll break us up in groups in culinary school.
Yep.
And you guys would have to do your task, and you have to get done and plate everything, and we would be faster, but we weren't doing it the way that the instructor wanted us to do because I was making holidays in a Vitamix instead of doing it over a double broiler.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
like, I don't have time to make this
dude.
over a double broiler. I got 6 other things going on right now. So
just pour the melted butter into the Vitamix.
Yeah, just like whip your egg yolks and then add your clarified butter and you're good to go. And season it with some salt. But I don't know. I think it's that psychology is like, if you go to college or you go to any university, if you get a degree, you're automatically qualified to get a high paying job. And that's not what it is it's not realistic,
Yeah.
So I would say it's good and it's bad, but I would say you will get a majority of your training in the actual live kitchen,
Yeah. So if if a restaurant's looking for a new cook, are they trying to recruit from the culinary schools, or would they just take somebody to walk in the door?
Yes and no. So like culinary schools have externships, right?
Yeah.
So, you'll email a restaurant that you're looking to get into, and if they are interested in you, they'll come in down, they'll bring you down and you'll interview, and then they'll offer you a stage.
Yeah.
So it all depends on your character at the end of the day.
Yeah.
If you're somebody who's going in there and you're humble and you want to learn, you can get the job being a culinary student. But most culinary students go in there with this ideology like, oh, I know what I'm doing because I went to culinary school, and then you get the boot right away.
Yeah.
But if you go in there, it's like, yeah, I went to culinary school, but I'm humble and I'm really to learn, they'll work with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. I feel like that's such good advice for anybody in their early 20s. Like, coming out of any program, whether, you're going to college for, accounting or finance, or like you're saying, culinary school, like
Right.
you got a whole world to still learn. Like, I think all you've proven to people is that you have an interest in the foundations of this space, and you know how to see something through.
Right.
Right. And it hasn't chased you away yet.
Exactly.
But you still know nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And especially once you get into service, right? Because it's like, oh, culinary school will teach you how to sear a piece of fish, but can you replicate that 50 times?
Yeah. Yeah. And make it consistent.
Exactly. And that's when the industry makes or breaks you.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, oh, I thought it was just plating food and like using tweezers, and it's like, no, it's definitely not that. It's just like, I got 50 sea bass fired and they're all coursed out with different things, and now you have to work on timing with other people. Right. You may be fast, but the person on the grill station may be going down, or the person on Garmo may be going down, and it's just like, I had to figure out how to do all of these things within 2 to 4 hours of service, depending on the concept, and you're just like, oh, this is a lot different than just showing up to school and answering some questions and working on my knife skills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me about the stress levels when you're doing service.
So before I got deep into martial arts, I would say the stress levels were a little bit higher.
Yeah.
Just because you're dealing with pressure that you're uncomfortable with, and you have people yelling at you depending on what type of chef they are. You have tickets coming in, and you have guests, and the guests are like, where's my food at? And you're just in the weeds. You're like just backed up, and you're like, I'm lost, But, under that pressure, if you stay true to it and you stay committed to it, you figure out how to navigate yourself through all the chaos. And that's similar to jiu-jitsu, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So I think over the time, especially as I started getting deeper into my martial arts, the pressure doesn't even bother me anymore.
Yeah.
And with being able to like open so many different concepts, it's just like, oh, this is a cakewalk now.
Yeah.
So I think what you do outside of your culinary day to day makes up a big like transition on how you handle your day, especially with different personalities and people, you know?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you become more of a mentor
Yep.
than an actual cook.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's pretty crazy.
Tell me about the different roles in the kitchen.
So you have vast roles, you know, you have prep cooks, you have your dishwashers, you have your line cooks, and then you have your brigades of chefs.
Yeah.
And the brigade system basically is derived from the military. And you know, that structure is just like you have your executive, and then to your chef de cuisine, to your executive sous, to your sous chef, and then to all these other different avenues. So, you know, I didn't think of the hierarchy as a brigade system, but as you start doing research, you understand it's like it had to be structured that way because back in those days they were cooking for royalty. So there had to be a hierarchy on who was doing what because if something was messed up, they had to go back to that specific person so they can fix it.
So you have accountability.
Yeah, you have to have that accountability. So, I mean, that's pretty much the hierarchy in the realm of things, you know.
Your grandpa got you into a military structure at the end of the day.
I would say more my dad. Childhood for me with my dad was super crazy, but they both played a role. Mainly my dad. My dad had me like make sure your bed's tucked and you can drop a quarter on it and
That's
stuff
right.
like that. And I would
Maybe
like
bring a ruler out for the folds.
it wasn't that bad, but if it wasn't up to his pars, I would come home from high school and there would be like stuff underneath my comforter, and I'd be like, "What is this mountain of things?" And I'll pull it back, and it'd be like a hanger or a shoe that was out of place, and that definitely set me up for the culinary industry because now it's just like I tell one of the sous chefs now, I'm like, "Hey, dude, like clean your station. Your house must look like this." And he's like, "What? Like, what are you talking about?" It's like, "Look at your station," you know. Or the sous chef will complain to me about the staff not listening or they're not good. And I'm like, well, look at how you're carrying yourself. They're only going to be a replication of you.
That's
So
right.
it's just like, you can't have your cake and eat it too, you know? So it's just like, if you want them to be a specific way, you have to be a specific way. So
No, that's good advice. Actually, I like that. And I mean, coming back to that environment, right? It's fast paced, it's stressful, I can go wrong. Everything has to be organized in its place, right? Otherwise, you're going to end up with a big mess.
Right.
Yeah. That's actually a good transition to my next question, which is, you know, what skills do you think are most important for a chef?
I think the most important skills is mise en place. And what mise en place means is everything in place.
Yeah.
And I feel like the more you set yourself up outside of your actual day to day, I think that would lead you to success in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Because if you're a mess outside of the kitchen and you go in and you're trying to like orchestrate all these different personalities and purveyors and having to come up with your menu ideas, it's going to be chaos.
Yeah.
But if you come in and like, okay, I know what I'm going to do. I know who's working here. I know how they're going to be when they get in here because you work with them so many times. It's easier for you to navigate your day to day. And it's just like service gets easier, you know, front of the house management gets easier. And it's just like the more that you can have structure, the easier your life will be. You know, so
that's good advice for
just about it's the biggest thing.
So how do you prep your day?
Ooh, I prep my day the night before. So basically I have an idea, I'll write it down or I'll take notes of it. And then when I get into the kitchen, I do my 1-2s. I check with the prep staff. I'm like, hey, do you guys need anything ordered from produce? If we missed anything from the night before, if they're good, I'll move over to the pastry section, check in with them, say good morning, hey, what's going on? And then from there, it's like placing orders. You want to get all your orders done first thing.
Yeah.
Because that's like, I don't want to be bothered with orders.
Yep.
And then from there, you worry about financials. So the financials is just like your raw costs and your inventory, making sure your numbers are aligned. And then there, I go into creating. And then creating is just like, okay, I got swordfish coming in today. What can I do with it? The produce purveyor comes in with samples and it's just like, okay, this is cool. I can make something with this. And then from there, it's getting ready from service. I'll write a lineup and see who I have for my night service. And then from there, you go into the night and you just basically execute. And that's pretty much how I go about my day.
And what are the hours like for you?
Right now, I'm working about 12 to 14 hours, depending on what's going on. Typically, I'll get in around like 9 o'clock, and then I'll leave around 7:30.
How many days a week is that?
5 days a week.
And so you just don't sleep.
No.
Yeah.
On top of having my own business and then trying to do jiu-jitsu and Wing Chun.
Tell people about Mise Bloque. I think this is so cool.
So the Mise Bloque is a multifunctional knife kit.
Yeah.
And how I came up with that was working in the industry, obviously. But when you would go into your job that day, you would have to go get like a half sheet tray and put it like a towel on the tray, and then you have to put all your tools on the tray and then stash it somewhere.
Yeah.
And me and my buddies was like, man, there's got to be a better way for this, you know? So I was like, hey, Arnold. And Arnold was one of the prep cooks at the time. I was like, he draws. And I was like, hey, can you draw this idea that I have in my head? I was like, it's a multifunctional knife block thingy, and it's going to hold your knives, hold your spoons.
Yeah.
Then the lid converts into a bain marie. Draw this for me. And he's like, all right, I can do that. A couple of days later, he comes back with this idea, and it's just like, that's exactly what I wanted. And I'm like, sick, Arnold. How'd you come up with that? He's like, I just drew it. I was like, cool, give it here. I gave him like $30. I was like, all right, cool. He's like, oh, you didn't have to pay me. I was like, no, I'm gonna pay you. This is mine now. Thank you. So over the years, I was just working on it constantly, like looking for people to do like CAD designs and renderings for me.
Yeah.
And then eventually I got to a spot to where I had a prototype, and the first prototype was made out of stainless steel.
Yeah.
And I was like, cool, I got some traction, you know? And then I put my knives in it, and I'm carrying it around. I'm like, this isn't going to work. Like stainless steel with knives, too heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not feasible. Not feasible. So I do like a little photo shoot, and, you know, I get some content, and some of my friends are like, dude, that's sick. Like, are you making this? What's going on with this? I was like, oh, no, it's just an idea. I'm like trying to keep it under wraps right now. Yeah. So I go back to the drawing boards, and then I make another one. And this prototype is made out of food grade ABS, and it's threaded. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm getting somewhere, got some more traction. And then I'm like, okay, the threads is not going to work. Somebody's going to cross thread it, or it's just going to eventually strip over time. So I'll go back to the drawing boards again. And then I'm on my third rendition, and this one's the game changer. And I was like, cool, I got something. And then I went into production, and from there, I've just been selling them ever since. And it's pretty cool because it's just like, it was just an idea. Yeah. And I never let it go. And I was just like, this is something that I know that would change the industry, and I just got to keep at it. Right. And if I believe in it, it's going to come to fruition. And it did. And now I'm on my fourth run. And
Is it already sold out?
Not yet. Okay. Yeah, I just started at the beginning of this year. Yeah. And I'm just waiting for the inventory to come in, and I'm start shipping again. And I'm doing everything out of my house right now. So it's just like, I get off of work, I go to the gym, I go home, and I work on some Mise Bloque stuff. I'm taping boxes. I mean, I'm doing the quality check, and, you know, everything's me right now. Is the latest version the same one that Fabian's got? Yes. Okay. Yeah. Solid. And he has two of them. He has the OG and the Pro. Oh, okay. Yeah. I think I've only seen the Pro. Okay. Place. Yeah. Yeah. So there's two different sizes. The OG holds knives up to 13.5 inches in total length. And then the Pro holds knives up to 16.5 inches in total length. Yeah. And that one you can fit like a honing rod, which is like a steel to straighten your blades back out and things of those sorts. Yeah. Yeah. And then I got some pretty cool ideas for down the line. It's like, I want to do one for pastry chefs. I want to do some for sushi chefs, because there's so many different avenues in the culinary realm. Right. You know, everyone deserves to have one. Yeah. And then it's also versatile. Like if you like camping, you can take it outdoors with you. Right. You know, it's like you store all your stuff in there, small enough. Every time I travel, I wrap stuff in a towel, right? Yeah, see? And, like that goes in my suitcase, and then that's it. I just unravel it. I hope I don't lose it. Or cut yourself. Yeah. Yeah. So, you know. That's awesome. Yeah, it's pretty cool. What, how do you stay creative in the kitchen and relevant? I think those are probably two. You just gotta like to eat. I love that. You just like, you stay relevant by loving to eat and following other people. Social media makes it easy because you get to see what other people are doing. Right. And then that creates that bug in you. It's just like, oh, I had to push myself.
Yeah.
And it's just like, they're doing that. How did they do that? And why? And then you go down a rabbit hole. It's just like, all right, I want to do this, and I've never done it before, and then I mess it up.
Yeah.
And then you keep working at it, and eventually you get it. And then you get it, and you put it on the menu for that day, and you get to see people's reaction. And you're like, man, they love this, and they're complimenting you, and they're like, you don't even know what I had to do to make this.
Right.
I screwed this up 10 times before you had
Yeah.
it, and you're telling me this is amazing. That makes you feel good. So that
Yeah.
pushes you. And then also it goes back to martial arts. It's always a journey.
Yeah.
You think you have one thing, and then the next thing you're like, oh, I didn't know that can happen.
Right.
So food's just like that. It's always developing, and it's always creating, you
Yeah.
know? So
I think what's most frustrating is when you realize how little you actually know.
exactly.
So do you find mentors to work with? Are there other chefs in the kitchen that you look up to that where you guys, compile ideas or show you new techniques?
I would say my peers, specifically one person or two people, Tara. We worked at Juniper and Ivy together, and just to see where she's at now, she definitely pushes me to keep going. Another friend, Sam, she just opened her bakery. It's called Relic Bakery.
Where's that
And
at?
I want to say it's downtown. I don't know the specific address,
okay.
but she's like super talented pastry chef, and her boyfriend, they just opened up their place, and it's just like, okay, keep going. And to see their creativity and what they're doing now, it's just like, oh, wow, like you can always push to do more.
Yeah.
And then just people that I follow on Instagram,
Yeah.
it's just like, oh man, like, all right, like
doing
I
some
don't know
neat stuff.
anything yet. Like,
Yeah.
keep going,
That's awesome.
you know?
Do people choose an avenue, like a specialty pretty early on? Like they say, I want to go sushi chef, or I want to do seafood, I want to do pastry chef. Or can you kind of switch later on in your career? Like how early do you have to commit to something like that?
I feel like if you pick a specific cuisine, I
Mhm.
think you're being more of a traditionalist
Yeah.
in the sense of like you don't want to explore out. But I feel like if you want to keep growing, I think that you are inclined to like seeing other different cuisines because that creates those juices in your head. You know, it's just like one day I'm doing Filipino food, but how can I relate that to my culture?
Yeah.
And how can I adapt that to make it something different? Or it's just like barbecue, right?
Right.
I love barbecue,
Me too.
but I also love Southeast Asian flavors.
Yeah.
So it's just like, how can I incorporate Southeast Asian flavors into a brisket
Hmm.
to where it's not a Texas style brisket?
Right.
So that's how you can be creative also. And it's just like
Yeah.
using those different ethnic groups to inspire you to do something new
Yeah.
that's out of the box. But also you have to go and try their food and immerse yourself in their culture also.
Right.
Because then it's just like you're paying homage to them and you're also learning. Because you can just read something in the book, but if you never tried it before, you don't know the spice levels,
Yeah.
or you don't know the people themselves. You don't understand why they do something that way.
So how do you incorporate that? How do you explore other culture foods?
Traveling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this last year for my birthday, I went to Peru,
Yeah.
and the cuisine in Peru is crazy.
I just spoke to somebody yesterday that said they love the food in Peru.
Oh man, it's just like night and day difference to what I'm used to as far as ceviche.
Yeah.
Because Mexican ceviche versus Peruvian ceviche is two different things.
Yeah.
And that inspired me. And it's just like, how can it taste so clean?
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like the citrus isn't like bitter.
Mhm.
And it's just like, why isn't it bitter?
Yeah.
It's because they don't do a full squeeze of the lime. Because if you do the full squeeze of the lime,
You
you're
get the rock in there.
extracting you're extracting the rind out of it and the pith, and that's what makes your ceviche bitter.
Oh
And it's
my
just like
God.
little things like that. And it's
Yeah.
just like, oh, I know how to make ceviche. And I was like, no, this is how we do it. And this is why we do it this way. Then it's just like, it takes your game to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
And it's just like something so simplistic as ceviche,
Yeah.
you learn something.
Yeah.
And that's where you have to like go into it with humility, you know, not being like, oh yeah, I'm a chef and I know how to do this. I went to cooking classes while I was there, and I was like, yeah, I'm a chef, you know, but I'm not a chef with the ego. I'm a chef here to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I have nice skills, but show me something.
So what kind of cooking classes? Is this just like what any tourist can sign up
Yeah.
for?
Yeah, you just
No
go on
way.
TripAdvisor and be like, oh,
Yeah.
cooking class, 4.5 reviews.
Yeah.
Let me take that one.
Right.
But the one that I found, the chef was a pretty renowned chef in Peru, and he worked at some pretty nice places. So it was just like, I want to go to there for that reason, because I know he knows what he's talking about. So that was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was fun.
And then how do you bring that back to the kitchen here at work?
So you take notes, you take pictures, and then you remember what you ate. So they have a dish out there that's called muchame, and basically it's dried bonito on a cracker with avocado, chimichurri, and tomatoes. So it's just like, okay, how can I recreate that? So a chef out in Australia, his name's Josh Nealon. I have his cooking book. And he does something with fish where you can do like traditional things like bresaola and sopressata. And it's just like, let me figure out how I can do that with bluefin. And it's just like, okay, I cured some bluefin. I used the recipe from him, from a chef out in Australia, but I've taken the dish that I learned in Peru and recreating that. So now after it's cured, it's funny because Monday we're going to start working on that dish. So it's just like, okay, we're going to make oyster crackers. So it's not going to be like a traditional cracker. We're going to make some chimney, and then we're going to probably do something with some tomatoes. And then we're going to plate it up like a carpaccio or something like that. So it's a little bit more elevated.
Sounds amazing.
So it's pretty cool.
How often are you guys coming out with new dishes?
Juniper, we try to do something new every week. And it just depends on what's going on. Like right now we're going into like a slow season, so now we have more time to play. And then the season's changing right now too, so it's just like the fishermen's bringing us some really sick lingcod right now, some vermilion rockfish. So it's like whatever they're bringing us, we get to create from that also. So it makes it a little bit easier. Because you don't have to think as much. I'm like, oh, I got this in today. So that's a check off the box. So now it's just working on the rest of the accoutrements and stuff like that.
Dude, tell me about the business side of the restaurant world.
So the business side, everything is about the numbers in the culinary industry from what I've been learning over the last couple of years. If you don't understand the numbers, you won't be successful as a chef. And I learned that operating crack shacks. The fast casual environment is way different than the fine dining environment as far as numbers, because every dollar counts in a fast casual concept. But it also counts in a fine dining aspect too. So you just can't bring in high quality product and not charge right for it. You know what I mean? It's just like you have to be meticulous on what you're bringing in and when you're bringing it in. And then you have different periods, so sometimes you have a 4-week period, sometimes you have a 5-week period, and you have 2 5-week periods within a year. So it's just like, okay, those 5-week periods, I can afford to spend a little bit more money because I have one more week I can make up, but the finances are crucial, like understanding how to operate.
And how do you think about, so do you have to keep the finances in mind for like a fast casual restaurant when you're designing a dish too, right? So like you have to think about, all right, these are the ingredients that are going into it, but we're going to go over budget and this is what people are going to pay for it. How do you do that? That's crazy.
So plate costing is you start with your proteins. That's obviously going to be like the most expensive thing. And then from there, you figure out how many ounces you're charging for it and how much you get it in for a pound. Then you do the math and you break that down. So the way that I was taught to do it in fine dining is you do your main protein and then you add basically like $2, an extra $2 to your plate charge. And then you divide that by your whatever percentage you want your dish to be. But in a fast casual setting, you have to break it all the way down to the T. From your sauce to the bread to whatever else you're using, it has to be all the way broken down because it's more crucial in a fast casual setting.
And the margins are thinner.
The margins are a lot thinner. But also you got to think about, you have linen costs, you'll have, you have chemicals, you have fryer oil, you have dry goods, you have dairy, you have all these different costs that factor into it. You got rent, so you got garbage. So you got all these things that factor into your overall goal at the end of the year, your EBITDA. And you have to make sure all of those numbers are in line to make a profit. And if you don't understand how to do any of those things, you're not going to have a business for too long.
I feel like the restaurant industry is a place that has a relatively high turnover of staff. So how do you manage that, from the hiring process through to trying to find replacement for somebody that stepped out? Just trying to keep staff there, right? Trying to retain them.
It's culture.
Tell me more.
You have to you have to develop a healthy culture and a healthy environment. And it all goes back to what you do outside of work. If you're out partying, drinking, and living a crazy lifestyle, your job's going to be crazy because if you don't have your stuff together inside the kitchen, it's going to be a reflection of you, and you can't lead people if you're not leading by example. And then you create the atmosphere that you want it to be.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I'm a pretty chill dude, so all my staff should be pretty chill. And they are going to pick that up off of my habits. You know, I come in early, my head's down, my station's organized, my knives are sharp, my mise en place is ready for them when they come in for a new dish. I'm updating order guides for them or updating prep lists for them. All those little habits transpire into the bigger picture. It's always the small things. The smallest things are the hardest things to do.
Yeah.
The big things are easy.
Yeah.
You know, but if you can hone in on all the little small things, it'd be pretty cool. But the culture is the biggest part.
Yeah.
And that's how you don't create turnover.
Right.
It's like you're always going to have people constantly coming in and out of your restaurant if you're an asshole, basically.
Yeah. And what's that famous saying? Like, people don't quit bad jobs, they quit bad managers,
Yep.
bad bosses.
Hence why I left Malarkey's.
Yeah.
You don't tell a cook that they can't cook.
Yeah.
That means you're just bad at developing.
Yep.
So that's a reflection.
Yeah, it's a reflection on you. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, especially if you've been there for 4 years, right?
Exactly.
And you're putting your heart and effort in. As you get older, right? If you decide to start a family, how do you see chefs at that stage of their lives balancing work with family life?
Ooh, that's a tough question.
I feel like it's such a demanding job.
It is a demanding job, and being that I'm not in a relationship, it's kind of hard to answer that because I've never had to live it.
Yeah.
But I would feel that there has to be certain compromises and balances, as in anything, and your partner that you get with has to understand your workload.
Yeah.
And also understand that chefs are pretty crazy. you know,
Yeah.
you have to be a little bit on the edge to be a chef.
For sure.
So I think if your partner understands that and she's willing to work with that, then you should be fine. And then I also think once you are an established chef and you get to a healthy spot in your career, it makes your job and your work-life balance a little bit easier, where you can manage a healthy relationship and have a family, you know?
Yeah, and I also like that, kind of following on your advice of saying, like, you got to get to a stage in your career where you can find a home too, right? And you're not just chasing these crazy different jobs all the time and out of a routine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be a priority at some point, it's just like something's going to have to outweigh the other, and you have to make those sacrifices. And that comes back into your development and the culture that you create. Because if you're a bad chef and you don't create a culture, you're going to be living there 24/7. So you're not going to be able to have a healthy relationship. But if you build your team up the way that they need to be and operate without you being there, it just makes it that much easier for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
what are some misnomers that you see, either from what you hear people talk about or from what you see on TV, right? From the cooking shows to the cooking movies to the reality TV shows. What are misnomers that you feel like need to be corrected?
I mean, the reality isn't what it is.
Yeah.
Like from TV to in the kitchen.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a facade. Definitely the speed is there. It's just like you have to like the pace and you have to think on the fly.
Yeah.
I would say that's the biggest thing. And then like being a TV personality and being a chef are two different things, you know?
Right.
I think that's probably like the biggest thing.
What's some advice that you wish you got at points through your career?
I would say to read more cookbooks and to practice techniques early on.
Okay.
Yeah, to dive into practicing more techniques and being immersed into like being really good at executing your techniques. I think that would be like the biggest thing that would be a big factor for me.
Yeah.
I think I would take a lot more from that opposed to just showing up every day and just doing the day and day and just cooking.
Yeah.
It's just like hone in on making sure your techniques are on point.
So,
and being
so
flawless in your
do you do that at
execution.
home? Do you do that at work? Do you go out to more cooking classes?
At home, I find myself reading two specific books, which is the Flavor Matrix and the Flavor Bible.
I got the flavor Bible at home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think those help me discover new flavors and pairings.
Yeah.
And from there, I can figure out how I want to manipulate what I want to use. And I think that's pretty cool. Oh, and
Yeah.
there's another book called the Book of Ratios. And that's basically just ratios for anything that you want to make, like pancake batter and like
Yeah.
croissants. And it just tells you like, okay.
Salad dressing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, I use like 3-1-1. And I'm like, okay, if I was staying within them realms,
Yeah.
I can make something pretty good,
Yeah. Oh, tell me about the time. So you made a transition for a while to go into R&D at Crack Shack. How different was that experience to, work in the kitchen, Jupiter and Ivy? Granted, they were two very different types of restaurants. What made you want to come back?
To Juniper or?
Yeah.
Oh, so I never left. Juniper and Crack Shack are the same office.
Yeah, I guess the two different jobs.
Yeah, so when R&D started for Crack Shack, I was still working at Juniper. It would just be like, okay, I'm done with my prep shift. Now I had the R&D Crack Shack.
So that was on top of your, okay.
So I would get in at 8, do all my other prep stuff that I had to do for the day.
Yeah.
And then we have family meals. So family meals, I would just be like frying chicken.
Yeah.
And so it would be like, okay, let's fry chicken with rice flour. Let's fry chicken with rice flour and potato starch. Let's fry chicken with cornstarch, potato starch, and rice flour. Let's fry chicken with AP flour and buttermilk and potato starch. And let's do it this way. Let's marinate it this way. So I was cooking chicken all the time. And then it's just like, why don't we just do the chicken the way that I've been doing it?
Yeah.
And that's what it finally came down to. It's just like flour, buttermilk, flour.
Yeah.
Doesn't need to get any more complicated than that.
Yeah, just a few spices and the flour.
Yeah, and then we made a spice blend, and we sent that spice blend off to a sanctuary, and they made it better, And then from there, after the chicken was out, and it was like, okay, what else are we going to put into the menu? We got the California drip. Okay, what is a California drip? It's a hybrid between a French dip and a torta.
Yeah.
So it's just like, okay, how would you make it this? So it's just like, okay, we make a chicken pozole, and then that's the haju for a French dip.
Yeah.
And then the torta is your baguette. So it's just like pollo asada instead of beef.
Yeah.
So it's just like, okay, then now we're working on that. So you do that 20,000 times. And it's like, oh, that's good. Finally. All right. Scratch that off. Off to the next sandwich. Then it's just like your traditional chicken sandwich. And this is like, go to Popeyes and have a sandwich. Go to KFC and have a sandwich.
Yeah.
Go to Burger King and have a chicken sandwich. All right. All of those suck. How can I make it better?
Yeah.
And then you find like other reputable places that are kind of doing the same thing up in LA. That's what like Sloan and the owner was doing. And then they'll come back down and be like, hey, we had this sandwich here. This is what was in it. Try to make it better. And then they'll give us it was me and Bradley Austin at the time. And they'll be like, hey, work on this idea. I'm like, all right, cool. And then we'll eat it. And they're like, oh, I'm tired of eating this. I was like, we got it. Then it's opening time. And it's just so chaotic. It's just so chaotic during opening. It's just like, we've practiced all these things. And then we got people wanting to buy all these chicken sandwiches and we barely know how to do it.
Yeah.
Because, when you're doing it without customers, it's easy. But then when you got people buying everything, and then you got Richard Blaze's name behind you, and it's just like, oh, we're here for Blaze. And there's like 1 million people outside. All right, make me 1,000 of these. And I was like, the chicken's coming out too dark. What's going on? I don't know. Keep frying. It's just like, we're running out of food. Go back and prep more.
That is amazing.
Yeah, I'm surprised I'm not full gray yet, but
what do you say are some tricks to longevity?
Living a healthy lifestyle, obviously.
Yeah.
Being able to disconnect.
Okay.
So for me, it's jujitsu, Wing Chun, fishing, cars, traveling. I would say that's the biggest thing for longevity in the culinary industry. It's just find something outside of food that makes you happy, and you do that as well.
Yeah.
Being surrounded by family.
But I feel like you just don't have that much off time. But when you do, you're trying to disconnect as much as possible.
Even like today I was off, but I'm getting hit up by the sous chefs like, hey, what are you doing with this? What are you doing with that? I'm like, oh, do this, do that.
Yeah.
But it's just like, it doesn't bother me because it's just like, it's my life.
Right.
It doesn't seem like it's stressful. It's just like, replying to a text, and it's just like, go on about my day. I'm here doing a podcast and I'm still thinking about work, but it's like on the back burner.
Yeah.
So it's not stressful.
Right.
But it's just like, I'm disconnected, but I'm still connected.
So what's next for you, man?
I think what's next for me is at some point I want to open a restaurant. I do want to buy some more real estate.
Mm-hmm.
I really just want to disappear. If I'm to be honest with you, I want to disappear and just fish. That's what I really want to do.
Yeah.
But I was trying to set myself up that way. So like just investing, and I do have a couple of restaurant ideas that I want to do,
Mm-hmm.
but like with the economy and everything, it doesn't sound feasible to open a restaurant.
Yeah.
But I think that I can do it,
Mm-hmm.
and at some point I probably would, just because I'm crazy,
Yeah, dude.
and why not? Like
Is it kind of like well, you see in the movies where the chef has to partner with an investor or a couple investors and then work together to open up the restaurant, or is it generally something that after a while chefs can do they can bootstrap it themselves, or what does that process look like?
no, I feel like once you become like a renowned chef or a reputable chef or a known chef,
Mm-hmm.
it makes it a little bit easier for you to branch off into your own concept because you're building relationships with all these different people.
Yeah.
So like finding an investor would be pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
And then you never know, it could be like a buddy just being like, hey, like I got money, you want to do this? Because
Yeah.
they've seen you cooking for so many years. Or it can be a family member, but you know how they say you never want to go into business with family.
Yeah.
But it can be a numerous amount of things.
Yeah.
It can just be, oh, I have a house and I'm crazy enough, I'm gonna just pull equity out of my house and go open a business and shoot for the stars.
Right.
So yeah, it's really your world. You can do whatever
That's
you
awesome.
want. Yeah.
When how does pay scales work in your industry, and do you guys get like a 401k that the company contributes to? Is it always hourly wages, or do you guys move up to salaried?
So you move up, it starts off hourly, and then
Yeah.
you go up to salary. And then depending on the restaurant group or the concept, there's probably like 401 structures. So it just depends on the restaurant group.
Okay.
But as you build yourself up the ladder, you get offered a salary.
Yeah.
And that's when you kind of like think about it, like, damn, I should have stayed hourly. It's just like, why did I sign up for that? And it's just like, gotcha.
Every moment you're at work, you're like dividing it by the number of hours. You're like, wait a minute, I'm earning less than I did a year ago.
Maybe I should have stayed in school. The math isn't mathing.
It's like that first time we approached this topic, I was like, yeah, we talk about on the podcast, like how to become a chef. What should you do? And you're like, first thing you do is don't do it.
Nah, pretty much.
I mean, it's not for everybody.
It's not.
Yeah.
You have to be a different breed.
Yeah.
Definitely have to be a different breed.
Tell me more about that. I mean, other than just being crazy, I feel like you have to have a genuine curiosity all the time, right? Another theme we've touched on a lot is you have to be super humble. Yeah. What else has carried you through so far? I mean, I love you talking about how you're able to you try and stay disciplined, and organized outside of the workplace, right? What else has carried you through so much?
Grit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just putting my head down, just doing it.
Yeah.
It's just like not accepting failure.
Yeah.
And just always, I mean, it goes back to just being curious and just willing to learn, just always wanting to learn. I think that's like why I keep going, because it's always something new.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Creating something new, or you're going to somewhere and you're traveling and it's just like, oh, I want to learn how to do that. And you never stop learning. It's like you have your cooks come in and they teach you something from their backgrounds. And it's just like, oh, okay, let's work on that. Like I never heard of that before. How did you do that? And you're like, oh, my grandma taught me this. All right, grandma, bring that grandma. Let me see how that's done.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I think that's like the biggest thing. Just always willing to learn and just want to just keep growing. Never capping yourself from there. Because as soon as you feel like you know everything, that's when everything goes downhill.
It's game over, dude.
Yeah.
So I think the last question I want to ask you is what's your favorite part of your job?
Teaching.
Yeah.
I think that's my favorite part of the job, is being able to teach other people what I know.
Yeah.
That makes it fun for me.
And when you say teaching, you're talking about your colleagues.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the line cooks or the prep cooks, like, or you have somebody new coming in and they're like fresh off the boat and don't know anything. It's just like, hey, let me show you how to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you get to see that wow factor.
Right.
And especially like when it comes to like cutting fish or something, they're like so nervous. I'm like, hey, relax. Like,
Yeah.
just let the knife do the work.
Yeah.
So everything's going to be okay. If you mess up, it's all right. You know, it's like, don't be I think that's another thing. Don't be afraid to mess up. Because you have to, in order to learn, you have to make mistakes.
I really appreciate your time, man. This is really great.
Thank you.
Wish you all the best. And yeah, I really appreciate what you do for all of us. Food.
Yeah, you got to come into Juniper sometime.
Yeah.
Just shoot me a text and let me know.
All right. You got it.
I appreciate it. Thank
appreciate you, brother.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Khine as much as I did. I always love listening to people who are so passionate about their field, and it's clear that Khine lives and breathes food. His take on how mastery in the kitchen is rooted in organization and discipline beyond the workplace is something we can all take a lesson from. How humility and curiosity outpace formal education, creating opportunities and resilience throughout a career. Also love how Khine looks for inspiration through travel and experiencing other cultures. If you're curious about what Chef Khine cooks up, come support him at his restaurant, Juniper and Ivy, in downtown San Diego. For other chefs out there listening to this episode, check out Khine's company, Mise Bloque, at miseenblock.com for a solid solution to keeping your knives and essential kitchen tools in a convenient and durable travel case. If you enjoy this podcast, give us a like and follow. You can also check out our website at htbpod.com to see a database of jobs we've interviewed for already. And if you feel like you have an interesting career and want to tell your own story on our podcast, just go to htbpod.com and submit the form. Thanks again, and see you next week.